Alright, I don't know how loud my AC sounds right now. Not AC, but heat. Because it's right behind this camera. Hopefully someone will come on and let me know. There it is. Oh yeah. Oh, and it just went off, so that should be okay. So, I am reviewing a block today and making Anki flashcards. It's going to be pretty quiet, and if you're studying right now on this Saturday morning, it's still morning? Yeah. Then I'm your study buddy today. I think I should open this up on my laptop just in case someone's saying something. I don't want to miss it. Alright. I'm doing a mixed block, all subjects. This is for USMLE Step 3, by the way. I forgot to turn the notifications sound off on my phone. So even if I get the question correct, but it was a guess, or even if I knew the answer, but the explanation on New World is giving me more information that I knew, I'm still going to add a note card. Um, I just really started going in on USMLE Step 3 studying. I was studying here and there, but really wasn't in dedicated study period, and now I am. So I have about I think it's like 55 note cards right now. I don't know how much I'm going to end up having, but there's well over 1,000 UWorld questions for step 3, so it's going to be a significant amount of note cards. I do them every day, and I'm using Anki this time around. Before I was using Firecracker for step 1, step 2. But I'm using Anki, and they grade it. When you go through all the note cards, you say easy, hard, easy, good, hard, fail. And based off of how you rated the note cards, they give you an overall grade for a set of like 10 note cards at a time. And every time I do the note cards every day, I try to get an A on the note cards. And then I do a URL block, and then I add note cards, do the note cards, kind of like that. Still have quite a few questions to go. I have like 900 something questions to go. It feels like I'm moving very, very slowly, but I have my weekends off now. If you guys have been watching the videos, I was working a second job every single weekend. I was working 7 days a week. And now that I have my weekends, I can study. I can do marathons on Saturdays and Sundays, which is very good. Never switch your answer. I knew it. I clicked it and I switched my answer. Convinced myself that I was wrong. I wanted to make a vlog today, and then I was like, what on earth am I gonna put in the vlog? Because this is what I'm doing all day. This question had a peripheral smear, and I took way too long to answer that question. I don't know why I was doubting myself so much. Asking about why this patient is anemic. And I doubted myself so much. I don't know. It was an Asian pregnant woman, and I was like, are they telling me this to trip me out? But it's hypochromic red blood cells, microcytic. I don't know. It's Dominique is a very, very tiny island in the Caribbean. I live in New York City now, though. Oh, shoot. All right. What time is it in New York City? It's 11:30 in the morning. I love when I get an oncology question because I work in an oncology office and it's just like easy. I have heard of Nepal. I'm friends with the Miss Nepal 2018, I think she was. two people that go to AUC. One just completed their first 2 years of basic science, so they're in the States. They're in Florida doing their rotations, and one is almost finished with the first 2 years. Well, I guess she is finished. She's studying for step one. But that's it. I only know two people over there. English. British English. Oh my god. My nose is killing me. What's my opinion on Corona that's destroying the world? I wouldn't say it's destroying the world. It is getting a little scarier though. Transmission rates are questionable. I think the incubation period is not definitively known. So we don't know how long someone is infected and how long they can go transmitting the disease before they actually show symptoms. I think that's a little worrying. Qualifications for testing people for the disease, I don't think that has been solidified, so I think a lot of people go without being tested for the disease. That's a little worrying. I don't think destroying the world is a little much. Maybe destroying the stock market. Did you get any interviews yet for residency? Interviews are done, Dee Dee. Interviews been done. The rank list was due yesterday, 28th, or 2 days ago, 26th? I don't know. It was due a couple days ago, I believe. So interviews are typically done end of January. I think you might have missed some of my videos. I pre-matched. So interviewing and those things are out of my life. Not necessary. Already past it. Were you raised partially in the States? Yes, I grew up, my teenage years were in the States. Yeah. I moved from Dominica to Florida. Grew up in Fort Lauderdale, went to college in Tampa, Florida, and then moved back to Dominica. So I guess back and forth? I don't know. I grew up both places, I guess. Fort Lauderdale is cool. I like it. I would move back in a second. You guys are distracting me. 21-year-old woman, weakness of fever, 9 days, exhausted, lost weight, smokes cigarettes, has a fever, sexually active, uses condoms sometimes, enlarged tonsils, enlarged lymph nodes, hepatomegaly, splenomegaly. What is the appropriate workup for this patient? So you throw up L's at parties. I do not. I recently posted a picture on Instagram, and someone told me I was missing my L's. I'm like, I don't do that. I used to do that, yeah, sure, being a teenager in Fort Lauderdale, but I don't do that anymore. In case you guys were wondering, the correct answer was heterophile antibody workup. She has mono. Pretty textbook mono, actually. Next question. Oh, thanks. Kuti? Let me see if I can. Uluijimi? Uluijimi? I bet a lot of people just call you Jimmy. I will not be bopping on IG Live. Who? I don't bop anymore. My knees can't bop anymore. I am old now. Oh my god. Are you in rotation yet? Baba, I think you need to watch more of my videos. Rotations are done. Graduation has happened. My certificate's actually, my diploma's actually right here. But I gotta frame it. Ross University. I gotta frame it and put it up and all that stuff. It's just been sitting in the canister that they mailed it in. Olujimi. But there's another I. Olujimi. I'd love to do a screencast where you guys could see my computer as I'm making these note cards, but I have a half screen of UWorld and a half screen of the note cards, so... Is that my doorbell? It's not for me. Whenever UPS needs to get into the building to deliver packages, I feel like they just call random apartments to let them in, but it's not a package for me because I don't order anything. Just making a note card here. You know, whenever they say splenomegaly for mono, I was always like, how big is a spleen? Like, can you feel it? Because doing a regular physical exam on a healthy person, you can't really feel the spleen, you know? But I've had a couple patients with splenomegaly, and I'm like, that shit is huge stuff. Sorry. Senegal. What time is it in Senegal? You're gonna go to med school, teaching medical English. Being the bilingual is always a plus. I'm studying for USMLE Step 3. It's the last of the licensure exams for your medical license. So, technically, after I take and pass this exam, I will be able to practice medicine on my own. You still have to go through residency and stuff like that, but I'll have an MPI number and I'll be able to prescribe, and I will be a licensed physician. The residency is just like training, not, I don't know how to explain that. But there's step 1, step 2 CS, step 2 CK, step 3, and then you're a licensed physician. So the women we diagnose with mono, this is something I've noticed, just a side note, tangent, for questions for step 3, they're so long. They're all like multiple questions. I want to show you guys, but UWorld will kill me. But it's like that. All the questions are combined. There's a part 1, 2, 3 for quite a lot of questions, if not just part 1, part 2. So 2 questions ago, I diagnosed this patient with mono by doing a heterophile antibody screen. The next question was, how do you treat mono, which is just a supportive treatment. And step 3 was, you treated this patient, she went home, she came back to the emergency room in a more critical condition, what do you do now? And it's like, that's all the questions. They're all following up. Will you continue vlogging into residency? Yes. I actually can't wait to start residency because right now my vlog game is so weak. I can't, like today there would not be a vlog because this is what I'm doing all day today. I took an Adderall this morning and I'm going to be studying all day. So vlogging that would be a terrible vlog. And so residency is more active, things are happening every day, there will be more things to talk about. Even my daily 9 to 5 at the office is pretty redundant and pretty boring, and I can't talk about a lot of stuff. But I don't know. It also gets super busy and I kind of forget to vlog. So maybe it's not that it's boring, it's that I get too busy. Like I vlog going into the office and then coming out of it because I never find the time to vlog when I'm in there. But I could set up reminders. I don't know. How difficult is it? I've actually heard from upperclassmen that step 3 isn't very difficult in content. It's difficult in remaining concentrated. It's a long exam. It takes 2 days to complete the exam. So being so concentrated for so long is actually the challenge. Medical technologist, going for my CLS once I finish bachelor's. I'll put it in my package to pre-med program. How old are you? Why so many steps? Why the medical technologist first, and then bachelor's, and then med school? Why not just bachelor's and med school? Oh, JK. Active duty Navy. So after 2 years of pre-med, I will go to med school. Oh, cool. Very cool. You should vlog that. That's pretty interesting. You should have your own YouTube channel about that. Okay. That sounds pretty cool. I don't know. I would watch a vlog about that. The only reason I started vlogging is because I would YouTube Caribbean med school vlogger and didn't get anything. Now, if you do that, you're gonna get a ton of people, which I feel like I had something to do with that. I don't know, but their channels have far surpassed my channels at this point. But when I started med school, there were no Caribbean med school vloggers, and there were just a few American med school vloggers, and I didn't really. I liked their content, but they weren't real. They weren't daily vloggers, which is very hard to do in med school. Obviously, I understand why they weren't daily vloggers, but I didn't like that their content was, hey, studying for an exam, and then the next video was, hey, passed this exam, got an A. It looked like med school was so easy and so, like, quick. So I started daily vlogging my actual med school experience to show people, like, this shit is not easy. It's difficult. You don't do well on every exam. You have to study for long, long periods of time. And I don't know. I think the way you're going about it, the medical technologist, being an active duty Navy, I feel like I would watch that channel. I'm just saying. Oh, I see. Yeah, thank you. That's a lot of the feedback I get, that it's raw. And I kind of want it to be that way. I just thought, I'm not bashing on anybody's channel. It didn't seem real to me. That one video was studying for an exam, the next video was ace this exam, and what happened in between, you know? I just like to know, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm not, I don't know. I think I didn't, what am I trying to say? I vlog for fun, like a hobby. Like, YouTube's not gonna pay for med school or anything like that. I'm not gunning for 100,000 subscribers. I just wanted to show the real side. I don't even know. Part of my video started as just a video vlog, like a vlog, but like personal. And I think I started second year of med school, but the whole first year of med school I was recording videos. They're all on another channel on private, where I was just recording my days in med school so I could reflect on them later. And I started to make them public, but they were really just like, what am I going through and in that moment, and then I can rewatch it and say, whoa, I really got past that. Like, I don't know if you guys were there back then, but when I failed step 1, it was a disaster. I thought my life was over. I was gonna quit med school. I was coming up with plan Bs, like, what am I gonna do with my life? How am I gonna pay back the loans that I've already acquired? And look at me now, going to residency, matched into my #1 program. It's crazy. You look back at that stuff and you're like, that's crazy. I don't know. That was a tangent. Sorry about that. 25-year-old woman, 28 weeks gestation. She's RHD negative. Husband is RHD positive. This is her second pregnancy. Abruptum placentae. Standard dose of anti-deglobulin at 28 weeks. And immediately postpartum. Fundal height is 30. Antibody D titers are 132. 132. Oh my god. 132 is too low, so we can see that she had... The options for this one were kind of just foolish. Anyway, we got it right. We got it right, but I want to make a note card on this anyway because it's an OB question. They're not my favorite. I don't score very well in OB, so I just want to make sure that I have a note card on this, constantly reviewing this. Part of me thinks I got this question right because the other options were just ridiculous, and the option I chose made the most sense. So it makes me question that if this wasn't multiple choice, would I have known the answer? And whenever I doubt myself like that, I just make a note card. Just make sure I have the information, I'm reviewing it. That's what people are always like, how do you review question? How do you study? You gotta be really critical of yourself when you're studying. Like, did you actually know this answer, or did the multiple choice help you? That's why it's so good to, when you're answering questions, like block out the multiple choice answer choices, and try to figure out the answer on your own before you look at those answer choices, so you know that you knew the answer. But I don't know. It works for me. It makes me more confident to know that I actually did know this answer, and regardless of multiple choice, I would have gotten this answer correct, you know? Think of it like if you're getting pimped. Like if you've gone through rotations, or if you've watched, I don't know, Grey's Anatomy or Scrubs or whatever it is, and you're getting pimped by an attending, and they asked you a question like this, would you know the answer on the spot, or would you need multiple choice answer choices to get it right, you know? Not that I know of. The question was, is there a policy that stops students from vlogging about Ross? Not that I know of, but that's not really saying much because I am very detached from Ross at this point. As soon as you leave the island, as soon as you're done with your first 2 years of basic sciences, you really don't know what's happening on the island. I don't know if that's just me, but I don't know any students in first or second year. There's no one I even talk to at Ross anymore, so, and they've changed so much. So they moved from Dominica to Ross, but even before that, the curriculum has changed and all these things have changed. So when people email me about Ross, there's very limited I could tell them at this point. I kind of wish another vlogger would come up and about to talk about Ross, so we'd all know what's going on. I do not. And so much happened at Ross after I left. Like, they had the major hurricane, they had to go on the cruise ship, they moved to Tennessee, and now they're in Barbados, and all of that happened when I was in rotations. It didn't involve me at all. So I'm very detached from it at this point. I just watched a vlog from a SGU student, actually. Or I started it. I don't think I finished it. But the campus looks great. I actually was doing a series, or I started planning a series on this channel where I reviewed med schools. I don't know where those videos went. I reviewed 3 Caribbean med schools, but never published the videos. find those videos, put those up. This is a 17-year-old girl with a generalized rash. She woke up, saw the rash. It's not itchy or painful. 10 days ago, she had a sore throat, fever, fatigue, body aches. She had a bottle of amoxicillin from a recent episode of pharyngitis and took a few pills. Why do you even have a bottle of amoxicillin? Why don't you take the full dosage of the antibiotics your doctor prescribes? What? Past medical history, major depression, sexually active with oral contraceptives. She's febrile, tired appearing. Tonsils are enlarged with white exudate. Sounds very familiar to the other question. Cervical lymphadenopathy. Soft, non-tender, mild hepatosplenomegaly. Sounds very familiar to the last question. Except the last question didn't have a rash. Dang, Stephanie, you sound upset. Yeah, I get upset at those people too. And it's like, and then you come back for the same problem. And it's like, maybe you should have just taken as prescribed. I don't know. Leukocytosis, AST, ALT elevated, total bili elevated. Most appropriate management for this patient's rash. I got that wrong. The rash is for the... Oh, I see. I thought it was strange that she had all the signs and symptoms of mono, but with this rash. But the rash is from that amoxicillin, that old amoxicillin she took. The etiology is well-known phenomenon is unclear, although it may be immune-mediated response to circulating antibodies against penicillin derivatives. The rash is not considered a true antibiotic allergy. That's another thing. When I ask a patient for their allergies and they list all these things, and I'm like, is it actually an allergy or what's that? So my note card for this is going to say, I try to put my note cards as questions, not just like facts to memorize. So it's kind of like answering a question without multiple choice answers, kind of like that. So it's going to say amoxicillin administration in a patient with infectious mononucleosis. I can type. Classically causes what? So it sounds like a pimping question, like something an attending would ask you if you're on an infectious disease rotation, something like that. And the answer is a generalized maculopapular rash. I don't know. I like this form of making note cards better because I don't know. I don't know why I always revert to being pimped on rotations. Maybe I had a lot of doctors who pimped questions, but I really did. Every single rotation, the doctor just like question, 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 question until they've defeated you. So that's what my note cards are like. Just these questions that they may or may not ask me. True statement of this patient's condition. An appropriate diagnosis is made and correct. So most patients with IM, infectious mononucleosis, actually let me spell it out. Will have an uncomplicated course and symptoms will resolve spontaneously except persistent fatigue. May exist for months. That's definitely a question someone could just ask you on a ID rotation, infectious disease. Wow, everybody has a sore throat. I've had like 5 questions of someone with a sore throat. And they put this on all questions. I don't know. Pharyngeal erythema with vesicles on a soft palate. This one has no cervical lymphadenopathy, and it's a kid. It's 5 years old. It's 5 years old. Fever, sore throat, fatigue, mild headache, pain with swallowing. Pharyngeal erythema with vesicles on posterior soft palate. What are we thinking? Hey. Answer is herpangina from Coxsackie group A virus. I think only because I've seen that. That's a great thing about 3rd and 4th year med school. When you see the cases that you're answering questions about, you learn it, you remember it, you get a multiple choice question on it, you kill it. You ever seen the show New Amsterdam? Yes. I did start watching it. When it came out, I was excited. I was like, ooh, new medical show. Can't wait to see what this is about. I stopped watching it. I don't remember why. I really don't remember. I don't think I disliked the show. I think I got busy or they took breaks between episodes and I forgot about it. But I think I liked it, right? I'm trying to remember. There's an ED doc who was like hooked on Adderall or speed or something like that. And then she left. I think there was a cardiothoracic surgeon, some like black guy. the main guy had cancer, throat cancer or something, and he was getting chemo, but like still running the hospital or something. And there was this like black oncologist girl. Wow, I really don't remember much about the show. I'm not a very good TV watcher. It's more like I put it on in the background and I'm doing other things. So I know bits and pieces of the show, but like, not really. I was heavy into Grey's Anatomy when I was younger. Like college? How long has Grey's Anatomy been out? But I fell off of that show too. I don't know. I don't really watch TV. I'll put it on in the background and do something else. So this note card is going to be one of the stereotypical, like, just memorize these facts note cards. Just a presentation of Kerpangina. In parentheses, I'm going to say Coxsackie group A virus. I feel like it's a waste of a note card for me to say, what is the primary cause of Kerpangina, you know? I don't know. And then seeing it in the front part of the note card as a reminder as well. I don't know, I could be wrong. So, summer months, children age 3 to 10, which is kind of weird studying these things because I'm going into internal medicine. I will never treat a child again, but you need to learn it for the exam anyway. It's good to be a well-rounded doctor and know all these things. You know, what if your like cousin or sister or brother has a child and calls you and tells you their kid has all these symptoms? You know, it's good to know that, even though I don't treat children on a daily basis. I have this prior knowledge and I would be able to offer some insight. That's definitely been the case for me. As soon as I went to med school, every family member had some sort of illness that they needed to call me about. But you know, I could tell them like, this is not an emergency, you don't have to go to the emergency, spend a cajillion dollars in the emergency room. Just supportive care at home and you're good to go. It's good to have that knowledge. Okay, I am on my last question. This has been going for about, an hour. Didn't really see that coming. So after this question, I'm good to go. Gonna take a break and finally eat something. Mm. Okay. Perfect to end on an easy question. Older guy, not older guy, I'm sorry, 45-year-old guy, alcoholic, had an episode of acute pancreatitis 8 weeks ago. Since then, he still had recurrent mild abdominal pain. And the rest of the vignette is honestly fluff. They tell me so much about him. The vignette is so long. And all I needed to know is that he was an alcoholic, had an episode of pancreatitis, has had pancreatitis in the past, and he continues to have mild abdominal pain. They gave me all these lab values as well, which were not relevant. I'm sure they support it in some way, but it's so pathognomonic for pancreatic pseudocyst that it felt like everything else that was given was fluff. But I feel like if you did not know that was the answer, all of these other things would have supported it and guided you to it. But when you have so much experience doing these questions, you're like, oh yeah, that's it. I don't know. Anyway, that was a good ending on an easy question. Thanks for watching, guys. Adios.